Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen and I want to welcome you back to another edition of your Adrenal Fix. Today I want to talk to you about the solution to adrenal fatigue. This is the absolute solution for adrenal fatigue. I want you to watch it over and over and over again because pretty much it took me the last 5 years to get to this diagram right now. And it will be in my book coming up shortly, but I want you to get a pen and pencil and I want you to write this down. I feel it's that important. So the first thing I want to talk about are causes. And so what are the causes of adrenal fatigue? And causes are typically what should be known as a diagnosis. So if you've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, if you've been diagnosed with headaches or insomnia or fatigue, that is not a diagnosis. That is not a cause. Causes should be diagnoses. So diagnoses could be like a strep infection, or diagnosis could be a virus, or diagnosis could be a gut breakdown, or a food reactivity, or an immune dysregulation. But a diagnosis is not fibromyalgia. That's the first thing. The second thing is Dr. Hans Selye, the father of stress. He was the one that first coined the term stress. And I think what we need to understand is stress, really in my book, is something called are the causes. Stress is our load, our stress load that we come in contact with every day. So stress loads are work, stress loads are jobs, stress loads are family, stress loads are finances, stress loads are infections, environmental toxins, chemical exposures, radiation, bacteria, parasites, viruses, fungus, leaky gut, food reactivity. Those are all causes, and when they add up to the point where they are now exceeding your supply of being able to handle that, that's when we start to have what's called a cell danger response. But it's different for everyone. And so you have the stress load on the one hand, which are all the things we just mentioned. And then on the other hand, you have the individuality. So I may be able to handle stress a lot less than you can. And that could be because of my past medical history. I had a really weakened immune system as a child. I was in a toxic relationship where my parents didn't get along. I was given bad nutrition. I had a lot of antibiotics and medications. These are all the things that I actually did have. It could also be that I had actual surgeries, tubes put in and out of my ears. Could be also my current medical history. So I eat a lousy diet. I eat a good diet, but it could be that thing. It could be I don't exercise. It could be I have a lot of toxic exposures. I have silver fillings. So you have your past medical history, your current medical history, and then genetic history. So that could be mom was ADD, or mom is bipolar, or schizophrenic, or Alzheimer's in the family, or autoimmunities in the family, thyroid problems. So you have this stress load that meets with your individuality, which is based on your genetics, your past medical history, your current medical history, and that causes symptoms. So that could cause fatigue, insomnia, migraine headaches, brain fog, adrenal fatigue, joint pain, um, focus, concentration, brain fog, feeling cold, not being able to lose weight, losing hair. So once these symptoms develop, that's when we have what's called a cell danger response. And that cell danger response occurs inside of the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is where energy is produced. And when energy is being drained because of all of these stressors, then ultimately the red light flashes and the cell's like, oh, we're going into danger. We're doing a nosedive. We don't care about flying at a certain altitude and getting to a certain distance. We just care about not crashing and burning. And that's really what the mitochondria does. And so not crashing and burning, it just means it's just got to maintain its descent. And so that's what the cell does as well. So its descent in our body is just producing enough energy for the cell to function and to make free radicals to try to fight off what's causing the stress in the first place. So everything else takes a back seat. But ultimately that triggers an HPA response. That's where the adrenals come in. The hypothalamus, the pituitary, the adrenals, they trigger a response, and that's called neuroexcitation. And there's two ways to measure that. We can measure cortisol levels, and typically the cortisol levels are really, really crappy ways of measuring it. We just measure the blood at the beginning of the day, and we don't get an idea as to how much total amount you're producing, how much is available at any one time, how it's being regulated and pumped out throughout the entire day based on a circadian rhythm. And so I typically tell patients the best way to measure your cortisol levels is with a dried urinary total cortisol test. It's called the Dutch test, and we measure cortisol levels 4 times during the day, and it gives us a nice fluctuation on how it's going through the circadian rhythm. The other thing that's never ever measured is our neurotransmitter levels, our catecholamine levels, and that's what the medulla releases. So the adrenal medulla releases catecholamines. It's excitatory, and these ultimately, done day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, are depleted. And when we mix bad genetics, things like MTHFR, COMT, MAO, MTRR, when we mix bad genetics on top of stress, on top of cell danger, on top of our individuality, all of these things, then that's where we start to have crashing and burning. So what do we do about it? That's the most important question, and that's why you're watching this video. The first thing that we do about it is we realize, where is the sources of stress? Am I living in a toxic building? Am I in a toxic marriage? I'm in a toxic job. I mean, you can't just snap your fingers and all of those things go away today, but you have to do things to identify what are causing these stressors on a day-to-day basis. Very, very, very important. But number 2, you can do things to reduce inflammation from a nutritional point of view. So vitamin D, things like berberine, things like turmeric, things like resveratrol, things like nitric oxide if it's in a good form, because there's 3 types of isomers, and if you're getting the 2 unhealthy types of isomers, then you could be causing more inflammation. A lot of people do L-arginine, and that could be helpful, or nitric oxide, but it may have some of the unhealthy components to it. So it really, really is important to understand that. We can also do things like vitamin D or things like that. It's going to reduce the inflammation. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually help the mitochondria out. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about doing mitochondrial support. So things like CoQ10, NAD or NADH, D-ribose, L-carnitine, these are really, really great supplements that you can use, PQQ, that you can reduce to help that cell energy produce a little more. The next thing we want to do is we want to heal the gut. And one of the things that no one's talking about is, aside from protozoa, bacteria, viruses, parasites, candida, all of that stuff, we can do a gut cleanse. But there's biofilms. And so we have to break up those biofilms and do a targeted approach to break those biofilms up. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to kill the bugs. So we have to identify the bugs, viruses, parasites, all of these things. And FYI, if you've had a past exposure to a virus, Epstein-Barr, cytomegalo, herpes, human papillomavirus, I guarantee if you're watching this video and you have energy problems and you're fatigued and tired and all of the above, that those viruses are impacting your mitochondria and causing cell danger. It's part of the causes. Even if your doctor says, oh, you don't have to worry about it, you had a vaccine when you were little and that's the reason why those antibodies are so high. It's causing problems, especially when you have these genetic weak links that don't allow you to put these fires out. We also do things like transfer factors. Transfer factors are really, really important. Google it, look it up, find out how it can kill viruses, and it's natural. It's not going on a whole round of antibiotics to kill all your healthy flora as well as kill the bugs, which most of the time they're resistant to anyways. So the formula is reduce inflammation, heal the cells, heal the gut, kill the bugs. If you take action on this, I really believe you can fix your adrenal fatigue problem. I want you to share this video. I want you to like this video. I want you to comment on this video. I want you to go check out my blog on adrenalfatiguesociety.com, and I want to help you in your desire to recover from your adrenal fatigue nightmare. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen, and I look forward to sharing some more information as we go forward. Thank you very, very much.